Okay, so now we're going to talk about friction. As women know, friction is resistant of motion from one object to another. It is not a fundamental force according to scientists, such as the gravity or the electromagnetism. Instead, the scientists believe that the friction is an electromagnetism force between the atoms of the objects. So there are two types of friction, which are the kinetic and the static. The kinetic friction are between two objects that are in movement, or an object that is in movement and goes against another object, and the static friction is between two objects that are not moving. They are just remaining. They start to explain the friction laws around the 1400s because there were a lot of phenomena or important effects of frictions through history. For example, we have how to make a fire when we go to camp. Like we rub two pieces of wood and we make fire. That's an example of how friction works in our daily life, or we can use it in our daily life. In our experiment, we're gonna talk about the kinetic friction between aluminium and aluminium.
Hi, I'm going to talk about the concepts of friction. So first of all is the friction force, which is due to a constant natural resistance to sliding between materials in contact or within a medium. And this may occur in different media like solid, liquid, or gas. The frictional force opposes the sliding motion between the contact surfaces and follows a direction parallel to them. So, the normal force is the force the surface exerts on the body that slides or is resisting on it. So the force is perpendicular to the surface. Both the compression exerted by a body on the surface and the normal force are the forces of action and reaction interacting between the surface and the body. So, the friction force is proportional to the compression force, and as we saw, this compression is numerically equal to the normal force. So, the coefficient of friction is the proportionality constant. The coefficient is characteristic of the materials in contact and its dimensionlessness. So the frictional force not only appears when there is motion, but it also exists when one body is at rest and tends to slide over another. And that's all.
have two types of variables. The dependent one, that is the weight, the materials, and the inclination, and the independent one, that is the friction and the gravity.
Now, based on the results we got during the experiment, we are going to calculate the average of critical angle and the coefficient of static friction. For the first try, using 200 grams, we got these angles, and then we add them all and divide it by 10, which is the amount of angles. And this shows the average, which is 36.6. And now, using the tangent of the critical angle, we can get the coefficient of static friction, which in this case is 0.7426. For the second, which is 400 grams, we do the same procedure. We add all the angles, we divide it by 10, we got the average, and then we use the tangent of 38 in this case, and we get 0.7812. And finally, for 600 grams, we make the same addition, we divide it by 10, we get this average, and then we use it for the tangent and get this static friction, which is 0.4599, and the average is 24.7.
As a team, we conclude that the results we got in our experiment and what we investigated in the internet were slightly different. But this was mainly because the materials we used weren't exactly put or prepared perfectly, so it might have several differences. But the important was that we were able to identify what was the friction between both materials and how is it affected by the masses, which is none. It is more by the materials and the friction, and what is the force that affects this friction. Also, we learned about the importance of friction and how is it important in our daily lives, and why without friction all materials might be sliding everywhere. So friction is important so that the objects can stay just in their places, and we were able to identify all these characteristics by doing this experiment.